All right, so tonight we're going to go over a few different examples of ways you can model the next project, the jeweled ring project. So first things first, let's get an idea of how to actually create the jewel. So, well, really, first things first, save. Don't forget to save, because what we're going to be working with tonight tends to kind of tax a lot of computers. So just to ensure that it doesn't crash and lose everything, make sure you save and save often. So, example, walkthrough jeweled ring, since I can't speak and type at the same time. Cool. All right. So I'm going to be creating multiple iterations of this. So I'm going to go ahead and start by making a few components. So first I'm going to do the jewel. Then we'll do a woven pipe ring. We'll do a sweep ring. And then we'll do a loft ring. Not left. Loft. If I could spell, that would be awesome. Okay, so let's start with the jewel. So to create the jewel, it's actually quite simple. We're just going to be doing a we're just going to be doing a simple multifaceted jewel. Now, are there so many ways you could actually model a jewel? Absolutely, because jewel making itself is a wildly varied art. But we're just going to be creating some basic faceting. So for that, start a sketch. What do you know? And to begin, we're going to go under create, and one we haven't probably used before is drop down to polygon. Polygon is just that. You can create multiple sides of however many you choose based off of a circumference of a circle. You have three options, the two that we're actually be looking at. A circumscribed polygon, which means the polygon is created on the outside of the circle, and inscribed. Obviously, the polygon is on the inside of the circle. Does it matter which one you choose? No. Only if you prefer to work one way in this case. In other applications, absolutely. But for here, nah. I'm going to start smack in the center just because. Now, in most cases with Fusion, you can usually step back and make alterations to this. In creating a polygon, you can step back and adjust the diameter of the polygon, but you cannot step back and adjust the number of sides. So ultimately, if you get it wrong, that means you just have to start over with the polygon. Not a big deal, just that is the case. So first, let's say, I don't know, I measured out with my calipers, trying to remember how big we'll go with a slightly impressive size of, I don't know, 6 millimeters? Sure. So 6 millimeters. Zoom back in. Now, to actually activate the number of sides, tab over to where it's floating. I recommend even numbers. Better yet, multiples of 3 or 6. So I'm going to go with a 12-sided one. And you can see, if I zoom in, you see the facets are on the outside of the circle. That's it. That's pretty much it. Okay, so I'm going to do a few extrusions, and that'll get us to where we want to be. So use the extrude tool or press E. I'm just going to go up like 0.5 millimeter, because for this, many jewels come straight to an angle, but for this case, I'm going to leave a little bit of a barrier between. So just for one. Now I'm going to repeat extrude to the top. Now let's say, I don't know, 2 millimeters up, but I want to go over to the taper angle. Apparently, I was researching this. Apparently, common angle for faceting or for jewel cutting is 42 degrees. So because in extrude, you can apply a taper directly into there. We're going to do -42 on the angle, and boom. Oops. So already we get some of our facets going. Great. Click OK. Repeat extrude on the bottom. I'm going to do it again. -42 for the taper angle. And I can just start pulling down on the sketch. Now, I will tell you, you do not, at first, don't pull the piece all the way down to a point. Leave it flat. So I'll leave for 6 millimeters. So I got this little flat spot. I'm going to extrude this later to a taper, but I need the slight separation of facets for right now. So click OK, and it's still on operation join, so it's still going there. Now, right now, just so you'll know, I do have my visual settings set to visual style, shaded with visible edges. If it were just shaded, yeah, you could see the facets, but not as clearly. So just letting you know that that's how I have those lines visible at the moment. So just so I can actually see what I'm doing. All right, next up, and let me just go ahead and save. Jewel extruded. Next up is the construction planes. I'm going to go to construction, and we've so far used offset planes, maybe plane at an angle. Keep cycling down until you get to plane through 3 points. What we're going to do is create a angled plane using some of the points, some of the vertices of these facets. Which one you want to use? It doesn't really matter, but I'm going to use something at least slightly along these angles here. So I'm going to select 2 top ones, skipping the middle over to the next, and then drop down for the third. So you can see I have, now that creates a plane through those 3 points, but it's through one section of my faceted jewel here. Select OK. Next up, I'm going to use split body. Now this does exactly what it sounds like. It chops a body or an existing body by whatever your choice of splitting plane is, or line, or whatever. In this case, we're going to use this plane. So if it's not already up here, split body, and as you can see the mouse over, drop down to modify, and you'll see split body, not split face, split body. We actually want to separate this off. So select the jewel, select the select splitting tool as that plane, and now it is separating. You'll see this red line drawn all around it. That the extent of that is just showing you that that's how far it's going to extend. Click OK. Now when I open the drop down bodies, now I have 2 bodies, the little bit and the main. I can hide that. Now I have that one facet. Awesome. Do it again for the bottom. Construction plane through 3 points. I can select the same, maybe do it opposite. And this is why we need this is why we need the points down here. So skipping a couple, and now you can see that I've got just that little sliver selected there, or rather isolated. Select OK. Again, split body there, splitting tool, this plane, chop it off. It added another body here. I'm going to hide that body. Never fails to be mildly unsettling, but also entertaining. Now I have these extra facets here. Excellent. Now I'm going to add those, or add more of those. So go to create, pattern, circle pattern. I want faces, not features. If I select features, it's going to continue, it's going to make the same thing features, but it's also going to make more body segments. I want to make sure that it stays as just faces, because I just want to duplicate the face, not the entire set of features there. Select that one. I can probably select both of these. Let's see if it'll let me. Selecting both of those there. Axis. Rotate around the Z-axis. It's going to automatically create some. Now, I had previously done this in an earlier example, so it's saved it as 6. It saves as 3. You can see this is why I said multiples of 3, so that they actually line up. Or in this case, I went multiples of 6. There we are. So you can see them highlighted there. Select OK. Chops those away. Now I have a much more faceted jewel. It's a very simple way of making it, but it's a very effective way of making it. If you want to add far more points and that such, go for it. The last point is I do want this to come to a point down here. One more extrusion, selecting the bottom, taper angle, -42. And now I just want to draw that down to the finished point. Now I have an extended point based off of those facets. Operation join, boom. There we go. And if I switch an appearance, don't have to apply this now, but yay, it's fancy green. Now it kind of looks like jade or emerald or whatever, or green glass. So that's a very quick and simple way of making a jewel. So we'll save there. If you would like for yours, you can certainly make multiples, multiple different sizes. Go nuts. It's up to you. It is required that you do have some jewel in here, just as an example of how to work with this series of steps. They can be teeny tiny little ones on your ring too. So it's not like it has to be a fantastically ostentatious ring also. If you want, go nuts. Totally up to you. All right. There we go. Ring or jewel made. Let's make some stuff for it to go onto. So I'm going to collapse all this stuff. I'm going to hide the jewel, and let's start with the ring. I'm going to go to woven ring. For this, I'm going to use the pipe tool. So watch why it says pipe. Now, if you are measuring your ring size, and I don't have a jewelry background, so I'm just going to use a pair of calipers and stick it around my finger. And the old meat claw there is about 22 millimeters wide. So first thing, I'm going to go to front, select front plane, and I'm just going to create a circle, 22 millimeters. Boom, done. Now, one issue with this, I'm going to create a pipe. I'm going to use this to create a pipe. So finish sketch, create, drop down, pipe, select there, and we'll go with like 1 millimeter. The problem with that is this immediately reduced the inside diameter of the ring by quite a lot, at least by, well, if it's one on either side, so a full millimeter. You can always check, of course, inspect. Now, of course, that's going to give you the full area. Where is? It's not going to give me complete. That's okay. You can always check it later. Isn't it? Anyway, obviously it's smaller, so you're going to want to bump up the ring size depending on how thick you make this pipe. Now, for the next step, what I want to do, just a simple alteration, I'm going to select the completed ring pipe here, and from the side, I'm just going to angle it a few degrees. -5, let's go like -7. Sure, that seems reasonable. The amount will be made apparent in a moment. So, okay. Now, that one single off, just that slightly askew piece, now I want to make a bunch of multiples of that, or at least a few. So I'm going to go to create, pattern, circle pattern, make sure I'm selecting bodies, select that body, axis, I want to select what it's actually rotating around. Normally we would have been like mirroring it or rotating around like a z-axis because I want to make multiples that way. I want to rotate it around the center axis here. In this case, it's the y-axis, the green one. Now you can see it ghosting in a series of rings here. Let me simplify it a little bit, make it 3. And you can see here, if I click OK, now just because it's that one little offset, it's made multiple iterations of that same thing and interlaced them all. Now, they're not like actually woven, they're actually clipping together and joined. But really simple way of making a stylized design ring that way. I can go back down, I can go back, change that pattern. Let's add a few more iterations. Let's say 4. Now it's a bit more even. And go nuts with it. Let's say 8. Obviously, you go too many, and it's going to create a solid form, basically. But still really neat way to work. So let's dial that back a little bit, and we'll say 6 maybe. That might be slightly less intense. Yeah, that's kind of nice. I think I'll go a little bit less, just so you can still see the links. Still going with even numbers. Odd numbers seem to do weird things in this case. Normally, I would totally go for an odd number of whatever because odd numbers seem to be more fun for whatever reason it is. But there we go. So there's a very basic ring there that way. But they're all joined together. Obviously, we're going to be adding a jewel to this. Rather significantly larger than intended. If you decide you need to change that later, remember, you can always go back to, let's say, go to Edit Sketch, adjust that first ring. I want that actually, let's say that should be 25 millimeters wide, recalculates, finish sketch, redraws everything at that size. If I decide the pipes are too large, edit feature, maybe those instead need to be 0.8 millimeters. So it's even thinner, recalculate, now they're much wider rings. So very easy to go back and make adjustments if you need. We'll put an appearance on here. Close the glass. Let's go to metals because metals. Gold, how boring. Let's go titanium, just so you get to say titanium. Oh, they did not join together. My mistake. I skipped a step there. Yes, yes, yes. Close the thing. Sorry, give me a second. No. Edit feature, and oh, I just skipped a step, that's all. Sorry, realized since I didn't have the drop downs open, they're all multiple bodies. They're all still their individuals. So step for that, combine, operation join, select one, then select the rest. Let it thinkify. Bam, back to one. Okay, that makes more sense now. Now we'll do titanium because, again, titanium. Yay! All right, really simple way of doing that. Let's close and let's do a sweep ring. Oops, I unhid the wrong ones, and oop. Okay, cool. So using a sweep, remember a sweep is right in between a loft and a pipe. You still need a path, a circular path, but sweep, you create your own one profile. So again, we start with a sketch for the diameter. Go to the front, center circle. Boop. Let's say 25 again. Probably should make these a little bit larger. Let's do 30 this time because reasons. Okay, there we are. Finish sketch. Next one, you do on a perpendicular plane. And here's where you would create your own circle, or rather your own profile. Now you could use one of the pre-selected ones. We could use a ellipse. I forgot what that's called for a second. Make sure that you are linking it onto your path. Let's say, looks like we're getting a little bit scrambly here. There we go. Sometimes, especially with ellipse creation, if you're on a anything but a straight-on perspective, if you're slightly at an angle, it tries to connect to one of the other planes. So sometimes, just fair warning, it does try to do some wonky things. So it's best to switch your view to what the actual straight-on perspective you're working in this case, right. All right, so let's open that up to, I don't know, 6? Sure. Click 6. Now for the other profile, we'll do 2. Okay. Now from here, I could, of course, also add in some additional features, but give me a second and I'll show you what I mean. So finish sketch. All right, so I have my 2 sketches here. One is my path, one is my profile. Go to create, go to sweep. I select my profile, the ellipse, path, the path, and it will create it all the way around. So a basic band there. I could go back in, and of course, operation, perpendicular, these are all different ones. Switch to parallel, that's going to be problematic because it tries to keep the actual perspective or the thing parallel. That ain't going to work for what we're doing here. So leave that as perpendicular. And obviously, new body is the standard. Remember that you can make this in sections if you so wanted. This is how you can create multiple components and join them all together. But ultimately, how you use the slider, it goes all the way from 0 to 1. So numerically, you could type in 1 and it'll bring it back to all the way around. So select OK. But what if, say, I wanted to have some features built into that already? Let's go to Edit Sketch, go to my sketch here. I don't know. Let's try making a couple of circles into this. I don't know, 0.5. Do another one on the line there. Say 0.6. And then one more smack in the middle at 0.8. I don't know. I'm just throwing some stuff out there. I want to mirror that one and that one. My line is, oh, of course. Let me draw a line. Make sure it's a construction line so it doesn't interfere with anything. Just literally a line across because it makes you do that. All right, there we go. Mirror that circle and across that line. Now they're on the other side as well. So select OK. And finish sketch. Now I go back to my edit or to my sweep. And instead, let me cancel that profile out. So that way I'm selecting only only that without the circles into it. Select OK. Now my band has these neat. Okay, I made a tire apparently, not a ring. But there we are. Well, nice and classic. So there you go. So you can, so obviously you can add a couple of notches into the sketch itself, and when it sweeps around the form or sweeps around the profile, you can instantly add in stuff like that. Okay. Sweep ring done. Oh, right. And since we're at that, why not go full on, not paint? Yeah, sure. We'll go with a metallic black since I apparently made a tire. There we are. Now it looks the part. All right. So last selection, let's go to Loft. So basically the same set of rules or same set of steps here, sorry. Select the front profile, make a circle. We'll go to 30 again. And finish sketch. Now I'm going to go perpendicular to that, and I need 2 sketches here. So with this one, let's make something that I can have something to work with. So I'll do an ellipse at the very bottom, snapping to the center bottom. Let's say, sure, 4 and up to 2. Okay. And then at the top, let's use something more rectangular, like a rectangle. Center there, smack to the middle. 2 seems reasonable. Let's go with, let's make it a little bit wider, 10. Add some fillets in. Start my first one. 1 seems excessive, so let's say 0.5, I guess, so half. Don't hit enter, and I can keep working my way around and adding those fillets to all of them. There we are. Okay. Okay. Yes. Warning. Leave me alone. All right. Now I have my 2 profiles and a path. Go to create, Loft, select my 2 profiles, go over to guide rail type or guide type, center line, select my center. Now I have half of a ring. Select OK. All right. Now I have this part. Now, yes, I can add some. Now I could just mirror this over, but first I want to show you all some examples of, since I now have this wider, flatter surface, how can I actually make some features onto this? Now the sweep I notched into the side itself of the profile, and that just swept the adjust the features all the way around. So save in case I crash. All right. So ideally, I should be able to use the emboss tool. So go to create, emboss, and as I select over it, I should be able to create any sort of sketch and project that to a curved surface and have it come off. The problem is if it is not a completely basic form, it doesn't like to work. And I'll show you what I mean. First, let me create a construction plane, and I'm just going to drag that in front somewhere of the ring. How far doesn't really matter. I'm just going to have it floating off the surface. That's all. Doesn't really matter where. So ideally, I should be able to start a sketch on that plane in front of my ring, and I should be able to just make like some kind of doodle. There we are. Select OK. Make a construction line straight up and down, and that way I can mirror that line across my construction line. Now I have this weird shapey thing there. Whatever. Okay. So finish sketch. Now I should be able to use emboss, which I select my profile and select the face of the object I want that to work to. Won't let me select that. Okay, let me cancel this. Let me show you what I mean, what I should be able to do with this. Let me hide the ring, and what I'll do is let's just make a basic cylinder off that plane, right in the center, and we'll say the same at 35. Sure. And then height, doesn't matter. Let's say 20, just to give it a circle. Let me move this back to kind of center. Oops. No. Body, thank you. Okay. So I should be able to use emboss on this profile. Now the faces, there it works. And that basically what it's creating, emboss, is a rounded extrude off of a curved surface. We've so far used extrude as a flat sketch and flatly pulled it in one direction. This basically allows it to go in all directions off of a curved surface. So there are some combination ways you could make this work, and I'll go over that with you. Just so you can see what I'm talking about with emboss. You also have the options of the depth, which is of course literally the depth. And as you see, as it goes outward, it projects in outward direction. It doesn't stay as a straight shape like an extrude going outward. The other option, let's drop that back a little bit down below 15. You can also deboss, which is inside, so performs a cut feature. So you can do any of that kind of stuff. Really convenient, unless it's not working on the form you want. Now, there's ways you could basically isolate this, chop it out, and then plop it onto the ring you're working on. But I'm going to show you all a different workaround for this. So let me bring the sketches back up. And in this case, what I'll need to do, and this is important, when you are using what I'm going to use here, create, go to, oh, sorry, back crack. Where are you? I always lose it when I'm forgetting. Oh, it's on the other sketch. You create your sketch of what you want to project onto the surface. Then you create a second sketch. Kind of like when you had to copy and paste a sketch from one to another or duplicate it, you had to actually have an active sketch to drop it into. You couldn't just copy and paste and make a duplicate of that sketch. Similar situation here. So I already have this profile drawn. Start a new sketch, and I'm just going to start it on like the parallel plane. So with this case, it's the XZ or the YZ plane. Go to the drop down, create, project, include. Now the one we have been using is project, which takes silhouettes and pulls them forward. I want to do exactly the opposite. Go down to project to surface. This takes that sketch, so the faces. Now I can select the face of the ring. Curves is my sketch curve. Now I can select those curves, and now I can actually bring it over. Now it's going to give you a couple options. Usually it's going to say closest point, and as you can see, this red outline. All right, great, it's there, but it's way minimized. What it's doing is it's assuming that you want to start at the closest point. So start in the center and work equidistant up. I don't want that, so I want to use the other option, which is along a vector. What this means is it just wants to actually, or I want it to stay as true to the size as it actually is. So the vector is this line. So I'm just going to select a plane, which is the same plane. And now you can see it's pretty well, when I go to the right face, the projected line is the same size as my original one. So as I turn it around here, you can see the red line outline. That's going on both inside and outside of my half ring. That's fine. All I'm doing at this point is actually wrapping the sketch itself onto that surface. So select OK. Great. Now you can see it actually projected a usable sketch onto there. Very useful. Okay. Finish sketch. Now, if I want to do anything with that sketch, because right now it's just a sketch drawn onto that curved surface. If I want to use that to cut in, pull out, do anything like that, now I need to do what we've used as split body and split face. So split body, what we used to create the facets for the jewel, actually took a chunk of the original body and split it into two. With this, I want to split simply the face. It's not actually cutting through the body like an extrude cut or anything. All it's doing is basically cutting away and making a new line, a break line rather, on the face of this ring surface here, of this loft. So go to modify, split face, and I'm just selecting the whole face here. Splitting tool, not this sketch, but the one that's actually on the line there. Select the whole curvature. Now you see it goes through and through there. That is A-OK because I don't have to use both sides. And that's it. Select OK. Now you see that line is not a sketch on here because I'll hide all the sketches, or all of them. When I mouse over, you can actually highlight that face. So now what I can do, I'm going to save again. Like I said, this is kind of where I started to crash the computer a little bit. But to be fair, I was trying to do some probably stuff I didn't really need to be doing because it was just too much to do. I was just experimenting. But now that I've got that, now I can actually use like extrude and things like that. So I'll go to extrude. Oh, not extrude, sorry. I can just start playing with different stuff. Now there's offset face, blah, 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 blah. I've even experimented with using shell, which we use to hollow out the body of the bottle. Select there, and let's see if this works. Too much. Let's do like 0.1 instead. Nah, all right. It's not letting me do that. Weird. Sometimes it'll let me. All right. So instead, let's try extrude. No, what was I using before? Now I'm pulling a brain fart here. See if it'll let me use emboss. Nope. What did I use before? Thicken? No. That's what it was. No, was it using offset face? Let's try that. There we go. Sorry, I was trying to remember exactly what I did before. So offset face is a very similar tool to extrude, but it's working on the face itself. So same deal, but you can see I'm extruding up and outward, you know, exactly like the emboss tool should work. So unfortunately, that's the really wide workaround for using the emboss on a complex curve. Again, this is all in the video, so it's a bunch of new tools, just more of that they're doing the exact same thing that the other tools have been doing. You just have to use these more involved steps. But you can do the exact same thing. So it can go outwards, it can go inwards, let's say negative 0.1. So a little recess, let's say 0.5, so it's a little bit deeper. There you go. So the offset face, now it select, and now it goes down in. I can still do something like a fillet, so I can curve those out, or I can round over those outer curves. Let's say 0.2, because we're doing like really small stuff here. There we go. Rounded those out. So you can keep adding different features to that, stuff like that. Really convenient way of working. Yeah. The other way you could do, the other thing you could have done is, let me see, click OK. So let me go back to, sorry, I'm trying to get underneath here. Edit sketch here. Nope, not that one. I want to use, where is my drawing? There we are. So that one, the original, I can do an offset and make two. So let's say offset of, I don't know, 0.5, slightly larger. Cool. Okay, finish sketch, finish sketch. Do the same. I don't know why I have a boss in here. Go back to edit sketch with that one. That was when I was projecting. So to go to create, project, I'm just going to duplicate what I did to make that first one. And now I'm going to choose the inner lining there. So if I had done this all in one step, that would have been far more convenient. Along vector, again. Project direction. I want the same thing. Okay. Finish sketch. So now, and let me step back before I did that fillet. Oh, poop. Did I do the exact same thing twice? I think I did. Whoops. I mixed up which one I was selecting. What did I do here? Sorry, give me a second. I'm trying to remember what I did wrong here. I accidentally repeated the exact same thing twice. So let's go back, edit sketch. Sorry about that. Again, project surface. The surface. I accidentally grabbed the inner line, the inside line twice. I meant to grab the outside line. There we go. Along vector. Yep, along vector. Select projection. Same thing. There we go. Okay. And now I have two lines to work from. Come on. Rethinkify, computer. Why is it doing that? There we go. Okay, so I got my lines. What I forgot, the other step I forgot to do is split the face again. So go back, split face, face split again, splitting tool, that outer set of lines. There we go. What happens when I try to do too many things? I forget my steps. Same deal. All right, now we're back on track. Why does it keep hiding the other ones? What's going on here? Oh, there we go. Huzzah! All right, got two faces now. Sorry about that. Okay, so let me go ahead and delete these other ones that I did before. Blah blah blah. Yes, yes, yes. That's okay. Okay, so now I have this little. Now I have this double line, which is what I should have done the first time around. All right, so again, go to offset face instead of extrude because we can't use extrude or emboss. So now I can select that double line and just select and extrude a wall like I had done or like we have done in the past for extrude and such. So convenient way of making either positive or negative. Oops, whoops, 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 whoops. Nope, nope. And definitely not 2 meters. Oh my God, not a meter. Don't make that ring. I just wanted -0.1 millimeters. Significantly different. Okay. Jeez. So now I just have a recess cut around that. All right. So you get the idea of how you can cut in, make multiple pieces. Have to do the whole rigmarole of projecting to surface and then split face with those lines, and then you can manipulate. Final step on this. Uh-oh. No, yeah, that's fine. Is using the mirror tool to duplicate to complete the ring. So bodies, I want the whole body. Mirror plane is my origin plane. And there we go. Let it join in one go. Great. So now I have the weird shapey shape on the ring. I got a doubled ring. Save. All right. Pleasure. With faces. All right. So cool. So I have a multitude of rings, obviously more complex, but I wanted to show you all how you can do multiple versions of this. And let's apply an appearance to this one. We'll make this one stone because it can be. Red granite, why not? Weird. It does weird stuff. You can play with the projection maps later. Anyhow, all right. Final step in whatever you're going to be working on here, or you can start with this, depends on what you want to do. Let's get that jewel placed. So these are all largely the same. So I'm just going to use this one. Move the jewel up, up and up and up. And for this case, I'm just going to bring it about where it needs to be, and we'll actually snap it in place later. So that's good. I can have it actually intersecting with the ring itself. Fine. And I want to capture the new position. That's where it's going to stay. Great. Okay, so I moved the ring. Now, whichever one you're working on, make sure you're doing the next part in the actual component. Or you could start a new component, but I don't recommend that. Make sure you're working. So let's say the lofted ring. All right. Got my weird granite lofted ring. Great. Now I want to make some sort of a setting for this. Now, how you want to go about this doesn't matter. It's up to you entirely. You could make a single arm drawn up. So something like draw a sketch, as always. You could do something that's sort of kind of going to be in place, meaning that I'm going to draw this right along the arm here. I'm going to use either, I can actually try to ape this drawing here, or the old, once again, project. And let's use the actual outside of this line. Little bit. Finish the projection. Great. Now I can hide the jewel and just be left with those projection lines. All right. So let's draw some sort of arm going up and over. Something like that. Something like that. Sure. Yes, done. Jeez, stop. Delete those. So realistically, what I'm going to need to do now is use an offset line, and I probably should have actually had it intersect the actual drawing a little bit. Okay, I'll go something like that. Oh, sure, 0.2. Let's go 0.3 or 0.25, something like that. Sure. Intersection. I'm going to do another one because I'm just drawing a line that seemed about right. And this one's going to go on the outside, or better yet, hit escape, and let's offset the offset just to be extra confusing. Oh, right, you can't offset an offset. So I don't know, something like that. Sure. Hit OK. Great. Now I just want to connect those. It could be with a single line. Okay. And the same, because it's not showing it as a closed sketch yet. Let's draw something down in there. Make sure I'm actually connecting to the line I need. There we are. Okay. All right. That's a really rough drawing there. Finish sketch. But of course, because I have these sketches hidden, let's unhide that. Let's do an extrude of that profile. Make sure you get both sides and all the things, because I did some weird drawing parts there that I should not have done. But there we are. And I wanted to go on symmetric, so both sides. And I don't know, let's make it 4 millimeters wide. Way too big. Maybe we'll switch over to whole length, so it's 4. Ooh, yeah, 4 millimeters is enormous. Let's make that 2 then. That seems slightly more reasonable. But I don't want to cut. I want to make a new body. There we are. So right there, 2 seems still pretty large. Let's say 1. That seems slightly more reasonable. Okay. Now for this part, I can, of course, still add some features. So add a chamfer to the outside here. Or better yet, let's just chamfer that whole side, if it'll let me. Both. Let's say 0.5. That's probably too much. That one. There we go. Nice little chamfer there. Hooray. Okay. Now I want to unhide that jewel, because what I want to do is now I want to actually make a cut so it actually properly fits. So I'm going to go to combine, but I want to go to cut. target body is the new arm I made, and tool body is the jewel. Now, this is important. Make sure you select keep tools, otherwise it will delete the jewel from where you made it. So select OK. Now when I go to hide the jewel, now you can see that there are cut in features into that side. Now, is it perfect? Not at all. This is a very quick and dirty way of doing this. Last step for this part would be to then use the circle pattern again. I want to duplicate that now featured body, axis, the Z-axis, and that's how you can make multiple settings. So let me unhide the jewel, see what looks less sketchy. I don't know, 4. 4 I think is semi-standard. Now would this fly with an actual jeweler? No, this would like break immediately. But you get a pretty simple idea here. So 4 of them, sure. Select OK. All right. Now I want to go through, I'll hide that jewel again. Let's make sure to join, combine. So operation join. I want to join the target body there, components or tool bodies, select those, and lock it all together. Now, what are all of these? Weird. I don't know why it kept all those. It should be one thing. Oh. Feature. I kept the keep tools checkbox checked. Deselect that. There we go. Back to simple things. Okay. Painfully simple way of working here. Again, that's not complete. There needs to be a couple other features cut into there. So if you wanted, you could could have waited to do the cut for afterwards. But bring the jewel back up. And then final step with something like this would be, let's activate all the parts so they can see everything. And let's lock that in position. So remember, I'm going to use a joint to link the jewel in place with here. What you select first is what moves. What you select second is to where it moves to. This part gets a little weird because what am I selecting here? So let's hide the ring for a second. Ooh, what is that? Oh, just a weird artifact. I don't know. That was odd. Okay. I think what I'm going to try and do, see if it'll let me select this. Nope. All right. So I'll try to select just the tip there, unhide the ring, and we'll try to put it in there. You know what? I think that's going to cause more problems than not. I should have cut that. I should have made a cut in there first. So let's cancel that for a second. Looking at this, what I should have done, see, there's no recess point in there for me to actually link that to. So last step on that would be combine. I want to cut. Target body is the whole thing. Tool body is the jewel. Keeping the tools there. Select OK. Now when I hide the jewel, now there's that little indentation there. Great. That's what I want. All right. Now I can do the joint. Select or unhide the jewel. Hide the body. Select just that little tip there. I don't know why it's leaving that artifact. That's odd. Unhide the ring again. If you can't, hide the jewel. Now I can snap down in there and grab just that little point. There we go. Unhide all the things there. Now just make sure you have rigid joint selected so it just jiggles when you hit animate instead of like slide or something, otherwise it's going to go bonkers. So just the rigid joint. There we are. Cool. All right. So quick and dirty version there. That links it all together. Let me hide those sketches because I keep seeing all that stuff. I'm still not sure what I was seeing there. It seems like I was getting an odd artifact from that every time I hid the body or hid those bodies parts there. But all right, anyway. So that's a really simple way of making a setting. Save there. Geez. A little loose with the caps lock there. I would like to show you one other simple way of making the setting, but I'll show you with the examples I made. So let me bring up the other one. So rather than going through all of that again at the moment, which of course I'll show you, but I just want to show you this part. The one I made for the woven ring. No, it's on this one. Oh, I apologize. It was actually on my, it's on my personal stuff. So ultimately what I did with that one is you could do a much more involved model with that, with basically making some sort of, let's use the on here. Tell you what I'll do is I will open this. Where are we? Jewel. I'm going to copy that jewel. So I just open that. Now go on to we'll go to the woven one. Bodies, Control V. There we go. Double. Great. And just so it's differenty. Oh, not that one. Hiding the original. Let's change the appearance of this one so I can keep some degree of sanity with this. Where was glass? There we are. We'll say that one is a fancy red one. Great. Okay. Obviously, way too big for this ring. Unless, again, you just want to go super impressive ring size there. So with this, obviously, we want to move that body down into position. Let's bring that more or less to there. Significantly sized, agreed. Bless you. But basically with something like this, what I was going to try and do is you could create something pretty simple of, let me hide the jewel, and right smack in the top here, I'll start a sketch. If I can't select something, what that means is I need to create a construction plane. Go to there and then just drag something up to where it makes it to the very top. There we go. So I just have somewhere to work from. And I'm just going to create a sketch on here. Oops, I don't know why I did that. Circle, smack in the middle. I don't know. Something like, that's not too big, but yeah, sure, that goes to about both of those. So yeah, let's say 3. That works. And yeah, finish sketch. So I could do a whole bunch of stuff with this, basically being that if I unhide the jewel, so I get an idea what I'm doing here, I could extrude this piece here. Obviously, I want to change from cut to new body, but of the same regard that we were doing before, taper, I can add a taper, sure, 42. It's going to go outward from there, and you see I'm making a ring size, or a size that's going to be slightly larger than the ring itself. I want it to be upward so it would fully encase that thing. Select OK, and let me show, and now I could start to alter this. So let's go ahead and chop this down a little bit. I'll add a taper to the front so I can kind of duplicate that ring there. That's too much, that's too little. Where's my number input? 1, 2 is too much. So that means, let's say 1.5, somewhere in between there. Great. Basically what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take something like this. I can now, and as I hide this ring here, let me just say the setting. I can just cut features into this. Before, I made one tine that went around the jewel and rotated that. With here, I can say, like, make a sketch similar on section here, and I'm going to cut a feature, slice down, and repeat that feature. So something like that, I don't know, 5, 6, let's say 6. Sure. Again, I'm just drawing off the hip. I highly recommend looking at actual examples. So I can use this and just cut straight down. Better yet, make sure to extent type to object. Let's use the actual bottom. And let me hide the ring of there. Great. So see, I'm just chopping down into it. Okay. From here, I can add like some features into this. Say like Sure, let's keep with, I don't know if I can get a chamfer around that. Yeah, that's just a lot. Let's say 0.2. Slightly smaller, something to that effect. Great. You see where I'm going with it. And I'll add one more to right there. Let's say the same 0.2. Great. From here, I would then use the pattern tool, circle pattern. I want to use faces again, or better yet, features. Select all of those features. Make sure you get all of them. Sometimes it's hard to zoom in. There we go. Great. Features, axis. Now, of course, my origin plane is way down here still. Now, when I zoom up, you can see what I'm talking about. Now it's going to chop all that out. Okay, great. Now it's still big flat chunk there. Perfect, because what I want to do, bring the jewel back in. Step with that. I want to do a combine and cut. So target body would be with that setting I just made. Tool body would be the jewel. Make sure to keep the jewel. Select OK. Now, when I hide the jewel, now it has chopped all of that stuff away and made a, again, quick and dirty version, but a full setting for the piece. So great. Unhide there. I need to actually name that. Unhide the ring. Again, way too big. And I do need to move this down a little bit, so I'll drag all that stuff into position. So let me select both of those components. And I just want to drag this to where the setting is actually making contact with the body here, which obviously it's not going to let me do in one stroke. So let's say negative 0.5. Still too much. 0.3. Yeah, that works. Make sure the jewel isn't coming through and going to be like stabbing somebody's finger. There we are. Significantly larger than it needs to be. But if you really wanted to, you could also just go ahead and scale this all down. So the last step with that would be combine the setting and the ring. So target body ring, tool body selection. Do not keep tools. I want those two to actually interlock. Okay, great. And then and now I've got just the ring and the jewel with the chunk missing and such. I did probably need to do one more step because now I'm going to have to cut that away too. So one last cut, target body ring, tool body jewel, cut, but I do want to keep the tool because it's keeping that jewel piece. Select OK. I'll hide the jewel now. Same thing, but now it's got a cut down into here. So the last step with locating the jewel, I can use a joint command. Jewel, select that. Again, that thing keeps popping up. It's really weird. It's got to be hidden somewhere. Select just the point. Unhide the woven ring. Hide the jewel. Oops, sorry. Yeah, that was right. Why is it not letting me select that? There we go. Yeah, let me select. Uh-oh. Did I overtack something? Not sure. Let me go ahead and save that just to make sure. Okay. Again, like I said, make sure to save regularly. All right, let's try that one more time. The point for the jewel. Woven ring. What is going on here? It keeps jamming up. It's probably just that I've got too much going on in this, and this computer is lagging. Well, we'll just ignore that for right now. All right, well, close enough. You get the idea. All right, so a couple of examples of ways you can create different rings, ways you can create, let me just activate all the things. So we have woven ring made with a pipe tool and repeated pipes, slightly offset, with a significantly probably too large of a jewel and a pretty involved but pretty simple to create setting. Simple sweep ring or tire, apparently. and a lofted ring with a jewel with some features cut into it and such. Rather complex, but there we are. So I know that was a lot to throw at y'all, and of course I'll help anywhere I can. So please do let me know. But a bunch of options of ways you can create your own jeweled ring. And ideally we will print these if you would like to. So good luck with it. Please ask questions. It's a lot of new tools, but at the same time, they're very much the same tools that we've used before. It's just that they do slightly different things. So as always, that's pretty much the reason for different tools. They do slightly different things. There you go. Good luck with it. Let me just save that last one. All righty.